You know, just about every single time someone that's in the guilter side of things sounds reasonable, they then fire back with some shit that makes them sound completely ignorant of both the law, the court system, and everything. And now they sound dumb as fuck talking about, obviously, what you see on my face right here. Because us in the Appalachians that hike, hate to break it to you, we wear them all the time. But people are flipping out. Oh my God, this means Bryan Kohberger's a killer. Look at that cuddly face. Do I look like a killer? I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. Let's get into it. Let's do it. Son of a bitch, I done fucked up my shit. All right. I forgot to plug my headphones in. All right. So, looks like I'm going to have to pause just a second so I can hear the fucking audio to what we're about to listen to. Sorry about that brief interruption. Well, y'all don't pay me on recorded videos anyway. Y'all only pay when I live stream, so I don't give a fuck if you're upset about the little cut or not. Anyways, what we're going to be talking about in this video is the news that Bryan Kohberger bought, I don't know how you pronounce it necessarily, so we'll get into that. We'll listen to the Bumfield, we'll do all this. Guys, you know I'm JB Gunner, this is Crime Time, and if you like what I do here, feel free to hit the links down below, support the channel. Go check out some other content. I go live on the gun show every day, all that good shit. But let me go ahead and jump on into this for just a second, because we're going to be talking about this story. Not this particularly, what you see on the screen. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about this. Bryan Kohberger's purchase at Dick's Sporting Goods offers bombshell evidence in case of murdered Idaho students. Does it? Does it? I'm going to counter this evidence, but we'll go with this for now. Let's go ahead and get into this and take a look at the story. We'll take a look at Bumfield. Bryan Kohberger purchased a Balaclava months before the 4 Idaho students were savagely murdered inside their off-campus home. Surviving housemate Dylan Mortensen told police she saw a man wearing the same kind of mask around the time police believe Maddie Mogan, blah, 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 they were all murdered. I just want to make this clear to you. Every dude that hikes in the Appalachians, including myself, we all own one of these. I actually own 3 of them. So this whole thing where we're going to act like this, we're going to talk about the purchase date, we're going to talk about things like this. The fact that people in the mountains that hike, which we all know Bryan Kohberger does, may have a balaclava or whatever the fuck you want to, however you want to pronounce them. The belief that this is somehow odd is just a pure belief of ignorance. It's just pure ignorance. But anyway, so you guys got me with the knife sheath, the Amazon order. But you guys ranting and raving about this shit is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Literally the dumbest shit I've ever heard. But let's go ahead. Let's get back to this. Let me pull this up off the screen. Let's go ahead and get back to this. New court documents reveal prosecutors have insisted upon the records because it could prove crucial to their case. The relevance of this information is that Bryan Kohberger purchased a black balaclava from Dick's Sporting Goods on January 10th, 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, would you like to see how the Appalachian Mountains in Pennsylvania look on January 10th, 2020, or any year? Let's go ahead. I just want to show you the grounds.
What?
Hold on.
Oh, no. Say it.
Hold on.
Say it, man.
Hold on.
Kind of way it goes.
There you go.
Up there.
There you go. There you go. If you take a look right there, that's how Pennsylvania, and that's around Allentown right there, that's how Pennsylvania looks in January. Consistently, most of us that hike in high elevations, even though Pennsylvania is not that high elevation, it's all right, in the winter, knows that as long as you keep your nose and your neck warm, you can hike long distance in these type of temperatures. Once you are pointing out and saying that this purchase in January, while he was still in Pennsylvania, is somehow tied to the Idaho 4 murders, it is a leap at best. Every single person in the Appalachians or hikers, anyone that hikes long distance, will tell you that they own something of this nature. More than likely one or multiple of these right here. So when we get these fucking idiots, California or the UK or anybody else saying, man, that doesn't look normal. Everybody that's in the mountains, everybody that's hiking, everybody that goes camping, everybody that gets into outdoor shit in any cold area, particularly in the mountains, will tell you this is as normal as a glass of water. This is one of the most normal pieces of gear that you can buy in the entire world. And so to hear everybody say that this man buying one of these in January, while he wasn't even in Idaho, or in Washington, which, by the way, it seems to me like that's also where he bought the knife. But the knife, just for the record, was way later in the year. Was it not? No, it was in March. It was in March. But that is a purchase that you can argue. This one is not. This one is not. Not even close to it. But anyway, I just want to go back to here because I also want to show you the average temperature in the Pennsylvania mountains in January. Average temperature is 34 degrees with an average low of 19 degrees. January is generally the coldest month in northern Pennsylvania. And so what I want to ask anybody, every man watching this right now, if you live in the Appalachians, am I right or wrong? Do you or do you not own one of these? And I'm not talking about the computer fags that just stay inside and jerk their dick to anime or some shit. I'm talking about men, actual men. So that probably excludes all liberals. But if you're a man and you live in the Appalachians or any mountains in America, do you or do you not own one of these? If you get into long distance hiking or hiking in general, do you or do you not own one of these? It's not that hard to understand. So seeing all these people run around and listen to Bumfeld talking about, oh my God, this is so abnormal. No, not even close. Not even close. It's as normal as owning a beanie out here. But let's go ahead and get into Bumfield. Let's see what she's got to say. Let's listen to what old Bumfield's got to say.
But let's start here. You cannot gauge a murder case by the sheer tonnage of the paper documents that it produces. But if you could, Idaho versus Kohberger really would be the trial of the century.
All right, so let me catch you guys up, in case you do not know. In case you do not know. Right here in this document, it talks about him buying this balaclava from Dick's Sporting Goods on January 10th, 2022. You see what I'm saying? Now, let me ask you a question. What if he still has it? What if it's at his parents'? Now, he could have lost it. That's why a lot of us have 2 or 3 of them. Because you never know. When you're going to, leave it at the campsite. Some shit like that. You just never know. A lot of times when we're backpacking, we're just stuffing shit in our packs. We lose shit like this all the time. A K-bar is harder to lose. A knife sheath is harder to lose. But this, the balaclava, easy. Easy. And by the way, to all you people that were also telling me, what about all that evidence, 86 terabytes or whatever little homo shit you said? I just want to let you know, also, as you scroll through this document, all 70 pages of it, there will be a million things that says state no longer intends to rely on this evidence. All that different shit y'all were talking about. Y'all were talking about Under Armour. That must mean he had Under Armour, JB. No, actually it says they're not going to use that evidence. Walmart receipt. Actually it says they're not going to use that receipt. So all that Walmart talk. Well, look, he bought one of them Jason Voorhees jumpsuits. They're not even going to use the Walmart evidence. So I guess that throws that out the window, doesn't it? But let's get back to this, just so you understand. And you can go all the way down this, and there'll be plenty of it. The state no longer intends to rely on this evidence. There's so much that it says, look, the state no longer intends to rely on this evidence. I mean, you could go all the way down this shit. There is Amazon. Amazon is going to be the thing that most people are going to talk about here. Amazon is going to be here. You can go all the way down. Keep reading all this shit. The video surveillance at some of them places, that's going to be brought into to play here. You know, his car registration down here, and then you got his fucking ID. It ain't going to be shit. It ain't going to be shit. In terms of any of the evidence that's here, there's nothing here. The knife from Amazon, I will confess, and I will concede, that is a great piece of evidence. And I get it. Listen, I'm not on nobody's side. I'm not a guilter or a Kohberger. I will tell you now that all you idiots are like, just because he bought the knife doesn't mean, shut your bitch ass up. You think I don't know that? You think I don't know that? You do know you can buy a knife and it not be the knife used in a... Of course, you shut your bitch ass up. Just because you can buy the knife and it not be used, just because he happened to own the K-bar and buy it right before the murders and then search for one right after the murders, yes, you're right. That could all be a coincidence. Yeah, it could be. But the whole, you know, that whole, it doesn't mean he didn't do it. No, it doesn't mean it, but it also doesn't mean he did or didn't. And it doesn't mean shit. But it does mean it's likely, in my opinion, that if he bought a K-bar right before the murders and then looked for a new one after, that's pretty damning circumstantial evidence. I'll tell you what's not, though. This mask that everyone in the Appalachians owns. So just so you understand, I'm not on either one of your sides. I'm on the side of logic, the side of common sense. Just so you know, just so you understand that. Nobody's side, just the side of common sense and facts. Let's listen to Bumfield.
Yet another metric ton of
by the way, just so you know, they do plan on using the National Weather Service because it was cloudy, to say his alibi isn't legit. That doesn't make any sense either. Because just because it was cloudy doesn't mean Bryan Kohberger wasn't driving around. It doesn't mean Bryan Kohberger wasn't driving down by the state park. Just so you understand, nobody said he was stargazing. They said a lot of times at night he drives around and stargaze and, you know, shit like that. A lot of times he drives around, you know. Now, granted, that don't look good either. That's a horrible fucking alibi. But this weather and shit doesn't, you know, affect it. Then they make a big deal. He's trying to block crucial video and Venmo payments from trial. He's trying to block every piece of evidence. Like, they keep bringing these things up individually. Why is he trying to block his bank payments? Well, dummy, he's trying to block every piece of evidence that you're going to use. That's called defense. His argument is that none of it should be in your possession anyway because the DNA was illegally or wrongfully gathered by the FBI. And so none of the evidence that you have should exist anyway. He's literally filing motions to block every piece of evidence that you have. There's nothing specific about Venmo or PayPal. He did it with every other fucking piece of evidence. My stomach just growled like a motherfucker. Ah! All right, let's get back to this.
Motions have just been filed or responded to, each one giving us another sneak peek at the main event, which is now less than 5 months away, the trial of Bryan Kohberger. We've been digging through all these documents throughout the day, and among the revelations is evidence tying the defendant, Bryan Kohberger, to the black balaclava mask. that was spotted by a surviving housemate. The prosecutors say they
This
have...
stupid bitch says it was spotted by a classmate. No, it wasn't. You mean a mask such as this? They live in the mountains of Idaho, dummy. They live in the mountains of Idaho.
Proof that Bryan Kohberger bought a black balaclava mask, quote, the same type of mask described by Dylan Mortensen, from a Dick's Sporting Goods store in January of 2022.
By the way, also in that same document, it says that him and his family had been buying hiking gear from that exact same place and Amazon leading up the whole fucking year. We're talking about backpacks, we're talking about water filters, literally the whole year. It says it in the documents. These people are fucking nuts.
That's about 8 months before the murders.
That's right.
And speaking of Dylan Mortensen, the defense is now attacking her description of a mask-wearing intruder with bushy eyebrows.
Every last one of us, just so you understand, you could use that description for almost every man that there is. You know why the eyebrows stand out? It's because that's all you can see is our eyes. And so if the whole rest of our face is showing and all you can see is our eyebrows are going to stand out to you. And every man, unless he's a homo, has, for the most part, thick eyebrows. Just so you understand.
The state says that is Kohberger she's describing.
Oh.
The defense says, well, that witness, that roommate, that surviving roommate,
maybe it's JB.
Was influenced by the detectives on the case.
Of course it was. Of course it was.
And they point to the fact that she admits she was drunk that night
Drunk
when she
as
saw
shit.
a stranger walking past her bedroom door. For what that's worth. In the earlier filings, prosecutors brought up this. Yeah, this is Kohberger's purchase of a K-bar knife,
Now
which
that-
has never been found.
That is damning.
And a knife sheath. That one matched the one found near 2 of the victims' bodies, and Kohberger's DNA, the state says, is on that knife sheath.
Indeed.
But the defense now claims that his Amazon purchase and his browsing history that showed he bought a K-bar knife and bought a knife sharpener and bought a sheath,
Right.
a K-bar sheath.
Right.
Well, the defense says that browsing history should be inadmissible.
I mean, I disagree. However, if it is a family account, you're going to have to now prove, as the prosecution, that he himself bought it. Now, how do you do that? You tie his financial records to it. Who was the thing delivered to? Now, if it says delivered to his dad, then maybe. And if it came from his dad's credit card or whatever, maybe. But if that motherfucker was delivered to Bryan Kohberger using Bryan Kohberger's bank card or financial information, yeah, I mean, that's going to be hard. The K-bar is going to be hard to get out of. But this mask and shit, it's dumb.
Because at the time he was living with his family, and other users could have been doing the typing.
I mean, it's a valid argument.
Searching and the buying. They also say the knife and the sheath may have been part of a larger purchase with like camping supplies, including a tire inflator,
That's
a
right.
backpack,
Ooh.
and bear spray. That
All hiking gear. All hiking gear. If I was to pull up my REI, which for you dummies that don't know, REI is a hiking and outdoor camping. It's like our main store, if I was to pull you up my purchase record, even my Walmart record, you would see all of those things that she just mentioned, with the exception of the K-bar knife. But that's because I believe in packing lighter, because I'm hiking further distance than Bryan Kohberger. When I hike thousands of miles. Like, I'm gone for 3 months, 6 months, whatever. You see what I'm saying? So what I mean is when I tend to go with a little more pocket knifey knife. I don't think I would carry around a heavy. However, if all you're doing is camping, excuse me, and doing weekend hikes, day hikes, why not carry one?
That is some good defense work right there. Because if you bought all those things, camping things, bear spray, tire inflator, backpack, and a K-bar knife, in Pennsylvania, that would make sense.
Good job, bitch. Good job, bitch. Well said. Continue.
But if you can't produce that K-bar knife, or the sheath, or the sharpener, maybe not so much.
Well, it's all right point. But are you so sure about that point you want to send a man to his death? I agree. The knife is a problem. I do agree with that. Because I'm not one of these pro burgers out here that's so stuck to my opinion I ain't willing to change it or look it up. You know, a man or woman, well, first of all, I don't even include women in this conversation. A man that's not willing to change his opinion when confronted with different facts is a fool, is a goddamn dummy. Women, you shouldn't even be watching this video. You should be sucking dick or making eggs. So I'm not having no conversation like this with a woman. But to everyone else, you know what I'm saying is true when it comes to all this shit. Like I said, if you're a male and you live in the Appalachians, let me know. I guarantee you have one of these. Simple logic can make me admit that the knife looks bad. But that's about it.
Don't forget, he was also known to search, apparently according to the state, for a replacement knife and sheath.
Now that looks bad too.
As for his medical conditions, we've got answers for that now too.
Tell us.
His lawyers say that his developmental coordination disorder makes it impossible for Kohberger to be able to slash 4 people to death in such a short period of time.
I mean, if the motherfucker's retarded, the motherfucker's retarded. I couldn't do it. I have this thing called Jim Beam disorder. I have a little bit of Jack Daniels disorder. I couldn't do it either. But what I am saying is when it comes to Kohberger, I mean, do you see how offended she gets when there's an answer to the questions they're asking? Kohberger, how come blah, blah, blah? And he's like, oh, that's simple. Here's your answer. They're like, the motherfucker answered us. Well, you got your answer.
And the state has an answer for that.
Yeah.
That a doctor says Bryan's condition was a thing of the past. Something that hasn't...
Hey, you don't just stop being a retard. That's why I don't give a shit about most of these people watching this video. I already know they're retarded. They were retarded yesterday, they're retarded right now, and them dumb motherfuckers is going to be retarded tomorrow. You can't unretard some shit. As a great comedian once said, you can't fix stupid. So if Kohberger was just sitting and he couldn't, you can't stab like that. If that's the case, hold on, let me see. Man, I can't come up with one. But it's come up with the if the glove don't fit, you must have quit type thing. But doing for the tard shit. You know what I mean? Just think about it in your own head and you'll laugh as if I said it.
Affected him for many, many years. And whatever he's got left is like the fine motor skills. Little things. Not big things. I could go on, believe me, but I'm going to stop here and bring in the best resource I can think of in this story, and that is our own Bryan Enton. Okay, Bryan, let's start with the Balaclava. Again, I couldn't believe it. Today, documents showing that they have the receipts. The state has the receipts for the black balaclava from Dick's Sporting Goods. However, if I'm the defense, I'll say this is Idaho. It is freezing in Idaho, and lots of people wear these balaclavas.
Right.
Oh, and P.S., he bought it in January, in winter in Pennsylvania.
That's right. Out here in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania. On that, well, out here in the Appalachians. And if you don't believe Pennsylvania was where I'm at, let me see if it says it out here. Well, I'll just show you. Ecktown to Allentown shelter area, Pennsylvania. But that's where this area is. That's where this area is. And trust me, I'm not covering for Kohberger, because if you think that 7 years ago, I made this video to cover for Kohberger, you're out your fucking mind.
I guess that makes sense, but it's really going to have to be, add this to the mountain of evidence and see how the jury feels about it.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point that the defense likely will make. There was another just mountain of documents that were released late today that you mentioned that we're still going through. Reading.
If you want to see, I'm sure it's got the actual date on there. Maybe it doesn't. I always thought YouTube videos had the date and shit. Oh, yeah. January 12th. So it was indeed January in Pennsylvania. Just so you know.
In the footnotes, a lot of these new nuggets, these bombshell nuggets, are sort of buried in the documents, including this latest about the balaclava, which, by the way, just to be honest, I didn't even know what a balaclava was. At first I was thinking baklava.
Because you're clearly a homosexual that doesn't do outdoor manly shit. Clearly.
The Greek food, but no, it is a mask. You see it on.
For some reason, you know what Greek food is, but you don't know what American outdoor wear is. Shows you, like I said, limp-wristed as fuck.
Your screen, that's what it looks like. It's similar to like something that we would wear skiing or that you'd wear on a very, very cold day.
Or hiking.
And the state got all of the records, got all of the shopping records, has the receipt from Dick's Sporting Goods, and says that Bryan Kohberger bought that. Someone like him has never even been inside of REI or Dick's Sporting Goods. You know that, right? On January 10th, 2022.
He's one of them Kohl's or Burlington Coat Factory homos. You know what I'm saying? One of those guys. I'm going to the mall to get my new... Shut your bitch ass up. If you go to the mall to get your shoes and your coat, you're a homosexual or a kid. I'm just being honest. If you're a grown-ass man and you go to the mall and it ain't just because you're dropping your daughter off at that fucking thing, you're pretty much a homo.
11 months before the murders, you mentioned it, he was still living in Pennsylvania, and that they plan to bring this in during the trial, Ashley.
So, you know, obviously question number one would be, that's fine if you bought the balaclava in Pennsylvania, or if your family bought the balaclava in Pennsylvania, show it.
Not a problem.
Where is it? You know, if they have a back...
But to be fair, I have 3 of these. And I couldn't tell you where they are. I have a hiking gear area. But remember, I recently moved. If you told me to go fetch one of my 3 balaclavas right now, I got a general idea. But it would be a little bit difficult. This isn't something like you typically... Like, I mean, you guys know I'm telling the truth. Do you know exactly the location of a hat you bought a year ago? Now, I'm a little bit more organized, so I have a certain place for all my hats and my outfits. Very organized and that shit. But your average person isn't.
black balaclava in the, things that they seized from his apartment in Washington, that would be one thing, but I never saw one on the manifest. Did you?
It's because they did, well.
No, I do not remember seeing it on the manifest. Granted, a lot of new things continue to come out. It's possible that we just don't have that document because we didn't even know that the balaclava existed or was part of this until today with this latest.
And by the way, I just want you to understand, just like with the beanie, do you understand? Let me make this clear to you, okay? Let me make this clear to you. Do you see all these little fuzzies and shit? You see how all these different fuzzies and just different little things that come off of here? That's how a beanie is. Same thing with a balaclava, right? What I'm saying to you is that the likelihood that he wore something like this in there and little particles of DNA from this did not get anywhere else. It's a little fuzzball, anything. The likelihood of that is very unlikely. It's just the truth. Especially if we're going to be fighting and killing people. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You would have direct proof that there was a balaclava there, because chances are fuzzy off of it or something just based on the fabric would come off, in my opinion.
Document dump. I also think this is going to be really interesting, and I'm curious whether this comes up. Since he was living with his family, there's been talk.
And yes, balaclavas that people wear, by the way, out in the Appalachians, they have almost the exact same fabric as a beanie. Almost the exact same fabric. Because it's soft on your fucking head. And nobody wants to walk around with something all over your fucking head that isn't soft on your fucking head.
Of a shared Amazon account. So how are they going to prove who actually bought the mask? Because you mentioned, I mean, if you live in a cold climate, could have been anyone in the family.
Sure, and I'm sure that anyone in the family wants to help his defense more than likely, so just produce the balaclava. And oftentimes, Brian, detectives can do amazing things by matching certain fabrics with certain lots from that.
That's not actually that amazing. But go ahead.
Particular purchase. So they've got that purchase, they've got the information on it. Maybe they could go deep and find out if they do provide
That's what she
a
said.
balaclava, if it is the actual one that was purchased. I've seen that happen in trials before.
Oh, good
by the way,
job.
those are weird things to have. I never had one in my house until I married somebody who gets cold skiing and skis.
This bitch says, I want you to understand what this bitch just said. Those things are weird to have. Well, it's a weird thing to have. Bumfield, you got one in your house? Yeah, I got one in my house. How is it so weird to have when you have one in your goddamn house, Bumfield? Said till I married a man.
He's with one of those.
Oh,
but they are
an actual man.
Not every household has one of those, so they're unusual.
In the Appalachians, we do, for the most part.
Usual purchases. Speaking of that, go into that a little deeper, Brian, that the fact that the defense will say Bryan Kohberger was living at home in Pennsylvania and they were sharing, Amazon purchases throughout the family, so you don't know who was doing the typing or doing the purchasing. And that would extend to the knife sheath, to the knife sharpener, right? And any other purchases that they find unusual.
And this may be one of the reasons we may see Bryan Kohberger's family members, his parents and sister,
witnesses,
called as witnesses during the trial. This has been brought up in some of the documents. This may be the reason why. There's been discussions in these documents that I've been going through about, well, if they get called as witnesses, they're not allowed to be in the courtroom before that. They may not be allowed to be in court during the trial because they're going to be witnesses. Why would they be witnesses? this could very well be the reason. The state may want to nail down, call them up under oath. Are you the one who ordered the knife? Are you the one who ordered the mask? And if they say no, process of elimination, they'll, explain to the jury that it was actually Bryan Kohberger.
And also,
that's still not proof.
Well, I'll go one further. Mr. Kohberger, where's the knife? Mrs. Kohberger, where's the knife? And
wouldn't it be fucking glorious? Wouldn't it be glorious as fuck if his parents popped up and like, here's the goddamn knife, here's the sheath, here's the knife sharpener, here's the balaclava. Dummies. Wouldn't that be the greatest shit ever? Oh, man. And the only reason I'm coming so hard on this one is because all the guilters are like jizzing all over themselves about this mask. And every single one of them are just people that doesn't hike. They're just talking all fairy and shit. Like, oh my God, he owned one of those scary masks. So does everybody, except for the limp wristers.
the sheath. Sister of Bryan Kohberger, where is the knife sharpener if any of you lived in the same house and were purchasing off the same computer? I think we're well past those days, though, for many people, where you're sharing a household computer. Most of us have our own accounts and our own computers. But I will give
that's true.
The defense that it's just produce the things that suddenly don't exist, that if a family member bought, I'm sure they would still have, 11 months later. Okay, another question for you.
But also, once again, I think this woman could be out of her fucking mind. I believe that when they refer to the same house, because what they're tracing it to is to an IP address, which technically that's not necessarily true either. That's actually not necessarily. But in terms of location, you know what? I'll leave the whole separate family computer thing alone, because they're right. Most people don't have like the family computer in like a computer room, or, you know what I mean? We're to the point now where we walk around with computers. I've got fucking 6 computers right here. Like literally, laptop, 2, 3 laptops, phone, tablet. Clear. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's everybody typically does.
And that is that the defense wants some of the, I think the entire eyewitness testimony thrown out, right, from Dylan Mortensen. There's a couple of things. They say that the witness was drunk. They say it was dark. I've seen lots of cases that happen in the dark. And that millions of people have bushy eyebrows.
That's true.
And that her characterization of a witness with bushy...
Man, this dumb whore Ashley Bumfield's got bushy eyebrows. You see this bitch? You see this bitch? Look at them fucking eyebrows. She even tried to line them up so they weren't. She's got big, dark, bushy eyebrows. I can see them.
The eyebrows shouldn't count. This was interesting, though, and I didn't know about this, and maybe you could explain it. They say that the detectives influenced...
and if you don't believe me, whose eyebrows stand out more to you? Bumfield or the frosty-haired limp wrister? What's his name? Brian Eaton, or whatever the fuck his name is. Which one of these motherfuckers' eyebrows stands out more to you?
Dylan's memories about the eyebrows and the balaclava. What's that about?
Yeah, and that's what they're saying. And let me just tell you that, because I read all of the filings, many of this back and forth is because the defense wants basically everything thrown out, it feels like, and they are trying everything they can.
That's a horrible goddamn drawing, man. That's a horrible goddamn drawing. Am I right or am I wrong here? Like, because if you look at this, like, doesn't it look like the whole face is open? Doesn't it look like the whole face is open in this drawing? Let me remind you of what it looks like. Let me remind you of what one looks like. Doesn't this drawing look like the whole face is open? Like, it doesn't make sense.
And seeing what sticks. So I wouldn't read into it too much that they're trying to get Dylan's testimony thrown out, but they are saying, and she did several interviews, so it's a little confusing. It's not like she just talked to police one time, but the defense is claiming that it was police who introduced the bushy eyebrows first, and that then she went along with that.
That's
we
right.
don't know whether that's really true. And in terms of this mask, this balaclava, I don't even know if I'm saying it right. That's how I think you say it. They are claiming that they also told her about the mask first, and then she went along with the mask. So that basically she may have been coaxed into saying those things. We haven't been able to listen to the interviews. Again, there were multiple. We haven't been able to see the full transcripts, so we don't really know whether or not that's totally true.
You are saying balaclava, right? You are definitely showing the fact that you're from Florida. The rest of us live with those things from Canada.
Didn't she just say it was weird to have one? And she's like, ha, you're showing that you're from Florida. The rest of us, we have to live with those things. You see what just happened? Did you see what just happened? Son of a bitch.
But it was interesting. We just had up on the screen what looked like a piece of paper with a drawing on it, a very rudimentary drawing. I'm going to ask our control room to put that back up on the screen.
Please do.
This is apparently Dylan's drawing of the mask that she said she saw him wearing. And as rudimentary as it is, it sure looks a heck of a lot like the balaclava.
I'm not sure that does, my friend.
That we were showing earlier as well. It looks exactly like that.
Does it? So what about all this fucking space? What is this? What is this space? I'm confused by this. Because there's got to be a reason the rest of this shit is drawn down here. You see what I'm saying? Like, no. This looks like this side piece right here. This is the fabric. And then it looks to me like this is all open. I see this little area right here. And this wouldn't make sense if all of this shit wasn't on the side. Like, what the fuck is this?
So I don't know if the detectives coached her to draw that.
Absolutely.
But if she drew that before they mentioned balaclava, I think the defense has a tough row to hoe there, because that looks a lot like it. You know, even in your terrified state, if you're drawing that, that looks a lot like it. So the other thing, I was so fascinated when the defense brought up all these developmental disorders they say Bryan Kohberger has, OCD, autism, and then this other one, developmental coordination disorder. That's a DCD, developmental coordination disorder. And the defense made great hay about saying, you know, Bryan's got this. He can't possibly have the coordination or speed to be able to pull off the kind of murder that happened in that house. I mean, it was all of about 20 minutes or so. And they did the test. The police did the test. They parked.
You guys keep saying he looks awkward and like an incel. You guys are the ones that says it, not me. So how could you believe that some awkward incel PhD nerd has the ability to do it? I don't think he's any of those things. I do think he has the ability to do it. So I just want to put my position out there. I think Bryan Kohberger is very capable of doing this. Doesn't mean I think they got enough evidence to say he did it, but he's very capable of doing it. If my big ass can do it, which I know I could, then his ass can do it, especially being young and fit, as you clearly see.
They ran from the car, they went through the house, they mimicked what the murders must have been like, and then they ran from the house and, you know, pretended to get rid of all the bloody clothes and get back in the car, all in the prescribed time frame. By
the way, OCD isn't something that would make you not be able to do it. OCD is actually something that would probably make you able to do it. OCD is, however, something that would prevent you from leaving survivors. I would have never left a survivor because I'm very, very, very OCD. Everything has its place. When have you ever, even in the back of my, ever seen things out of place in my videos or my house trashed or anything like that? It's never been.
And the defense said his condition makes it impossible for him to be able to do that. And then came the state's response to that. Take it away, Bryan.
Yeah, and let me just read you this response because I think it's worth just reading word for word. I jotted it down here. This is what the state is saying that the expert that the Kohberger team said in relation to all this. To the extent defendant currently has any motor impairment, even according to his own expert, it affects only his fine motor dexterity and vulnerabilities in visual motion functions. The examples she uses for fine motor dexterity include when he had poor handwriting and trouble tying his shoes in the past.
Damn.
So the state is saying, wait a minute. All of a sudden, you have brought in all of this evidence that he's on the autism.
Yeah, I mean, if that motherfucker can't even tie his own shoes, if it's proven this motherfucker can't even tie his own shoes, then yeah, I think that should be admissible.
Spectrum, that he's got OCD, that he's got developmental coordination disorder, something we hadn't heard anything about until recently. What does that really have to do with anything? And they're saying even your own expert is saying that is saying that it wouldn't have impacted whether or not he would have been capable of these murders.
Yeah, that sounded like the air going out of a balloon, for the defense pretty darn quickly. Fine motor skills, picking up something tiny and putting it into a little bottle. Gross motor skills, jamming a knife into 4 people very quickly and running from room to room. And there didn't seem to be any problems with his gross motor skills. Bryan, great job. Thank you. I really appreciate you breaking that down. Keep your eyes out because those...
I'd say his gross motor skills were perfect. All right, guys. Look, man. You guys know my position. I've defended Kohberger as innocent until proven guilty. I still feel the exact same way. I do believe the knife sheath makes me think that he probably did it. I mean, not the knife sheath, but the actual purchase of a K-bar knife makes me feel like he probably did it, even though I still don't think there's enough evidence. Even though I think he probably did it, I still wouldn't convict him. I still wouldn't convict him and send him to death. Because all the evidence is circumstantial and they come with dumb shit like the Balaclava right here and act like it's a big fucking deal. Guys, let me know. Do you have men, let me know. Or ladies, let me know, does your man have one? Does your son have one? Do you live in the if you don't live in a mountainous region or in the Appalachians or Colorado or shit like that, don't answer shit. Like, I don't want some motherfucker from Miami be like, no, man, we ain't got no Balaclava. Shut your ass up. Guys, if you like what I do here and you feel my content is valuable, feel free to hit those links down below. This number on the screen is not what you see. This is actually my first video of the day. I still got to get to work. I love you guys. It isn't a live stream, but you got almost an hour. Appreciate you guys. Peace out.